Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be installing the 12,000 XP right here. But before we can do that, I've got to pull all this out of here first. That's why I got my grubby clothes on. Today is Get Dirty Day. We're going to be pulling all this up, and I'm also going to be pulling all the batteries out that are on the other side of the wall. So it's definitely a destroy your clothes day. Nothing like lead acid to just burn holes all through all your clothes. So I've been powering the house for a couple weeks with the 6000. This is my portable power station. It's on wheels. We just roll it around. I've got it plugged in to the house. Is actually plugged in right here into the side. And I could just go with one of these because this is 3000 watts and this is 6000 watts. That's twice the amount of power as I currently had on my house. But the reason I have to go with the 12,000 XP is because the MPPT charger on here is not enough. It's 8,000 watt capacity, 4,000 per side, and my pavilion is 4,500 watts, which is just too much for one side. So right now I've got it split. How I know it's too much for one side is because I hooked up onto one side and it was overheating. Sun would hit those panels, it'd start charging, and it just shut everything off. The entire house shut off. Well, this cooled down for a minute and then turn back on, run for like 10 minutes and shut back down. So you cannot put 4,500 watts onto one leg because it'll overheat. And so I split it. I had it split before because half the pavilion was coming into this one charge controller and the other half was coming into this charge controller. I was hoping I could just put it all together. I split it back to how it was before, ran in here to both sides. I'm running both sides of this with the solar pavilion, and that's working just fine. That's how it's been going for the last couple weeks. So the first day, power on and off. Since then, solid, good, and that let me know that this is not enough MPPT for what we're doing. I've got another solar tree that I need to hook into here as well, which is coming to this charge controller. That's why we're putting in the 12,000 XP. Way more watts than I need, but I need that much charging. So this system here is currently on running. This charge controller is charging the old batteries, kind of limping along. I've got this run as a backup generator into here. You turn it on here, this Outback's going to kick on. It's going to kick into here. And so it's actually running in generator mode. And so it'll turn on, it's charging the batteries, it's running the house. Once these batteries die out here, about a half hour, hour at the most, it'll run everything. Just shut it off, let it charge all back up. So that's how we have been running, and now it is time upgrade. So the 6000 XP cannot handle as much solar as I have right now, and that's why we're going with the 12,000 XP, which is still cheaper than what I've got going on here. I upgraded from an old trace inverter, I think like 5 years ago, to the Outback. Now this is all top of the line, best you can buy with lead acid batteries for sure. Cutting edge at the time, outdated now. So I got this on eBay, brand new. I paid $1,700 for this. With the Outback, you get just an inverter. If you want to communicate with it or do anything, even turn it off and on. It does not even have an off and on switch. You have to turn the power off and on to turn it off and on. Turn it off and on, you have to have a mate, which is $350. Then you have to have a hub to communicate with the mate and all your charge controllers and your inverter. This is $250. And then these are each $600. You got $600, $600, $600, plus $50 for this breaker. And I've got all these breakers. I don't even remember how much I paid for those. And I got the bus bars. And so this whole system here, you're looking at $4,100 is what I paid for this. So that 12,000 XP will replace all this, plus give you 9,000 watts more AC and way, way, way more solar capacity for sure. I just love how simple everything's gotten. I mean, look at this mess. Trying to explain to somebody how to wire all this up is so difficult to do when in here it's all just that, and it's all labeled and it's so fast and easy. So I'm really excited that we're going to clean up this mess. One inverter right here. Batteries are still going to be on the other side of the wall. Putting in 2 wall mount batteries. And yeah, so I'm going to rip all this out and we'll have a clean slate and we're going to put that inverter in. So catch you in a few. You can see I've got all the Outback stuff pulled out of here now. It's time to put this on here. I gotta admit, this template is really nice. You can just put this here, center it all up, mark it. It's way better than hefting an inverter up here for sure. And I definitely like this bracket idea. That's a lot easier than holding your inverter and trying to screw the screws in it. Do like that. So that looks pretty good there. We'll put a level on this side. Yeah, right there. That's pretty good. I just eyeballed it. So we'll mark these. There we go. Unfortunately, I can't move this. This is the AC going into the house. This is AC coming from this box over to the pavilion. This is all my PV coming in, charging. So this here is fire-treated plywood. I actually have 2 layers of 3/4 inch fire-treated plywood. So this makes this real easy. I can just mount right to that. Because I'm going right into this plywood, I can use the provided screws. I know other people have had to get longer screws because they'll go through hardy backer and then your drywall, and by then you're only getting this much into your stud. So if you're doing that, you need longer ones. But we get to use these. So that's a 13mm socket. Yeah, that definitely makes it easy. I don't have to find a stud or anything. I can just screw anywhere on there. Okay, we'll put a level across here. All right, it is time for the inverter. I've got the inverter all mounted now. That was actually pretty easy. I just put the inverter on this rolly stool and just rolled it right in here. So the stool was sitting right here. Lifted it from the stool straight up onto the wall, and it slid onto that bracket super easy. Then I put these clips on the sides. You can see I've got one here. Put lag bolt and 2 screws into the inverter on this side as well. That's got that all mounted on there. Good and solid. So I do want to point out that this inverter does not come with a hard copy user manual. So I printed one out because I like a hard copy. So knowing that, if you order your inverter, you can download and print out the manual and start studying it, looking at all the pretty pictures. I am not an electrician. I'm just a guy that likes power. So I just put stuff together. I obviously follow your manual. If I do something that doesn't seem quite right, ask your electrician friend, but I'm going to get her done. So I've already run the battery cables. They've gone through the wall, and so I ended up actually cutting a hole in the back of the inverter with a hole saw. I don't recommend doing that. I'm not condoning it. I'm just showing what I did because I'm not sure what that does to the warranty of the inverter. I don't know why it would affect it because I'm just cutting the steel. This really should have knockouts all through here. Would be nice. You can just put wires back that way to run everything on the other side of a wall. If you wanted this in your house and your batteries outside in the shed like I'm doing, that would be awesome. So now we're going to wire up these batteries. Look at this wire. Look how fine that is. It's about as thick as a human hair. It's so fine. And that's why this big fat cable is so easy to bend. Look at that. It's just so easy. So the smaller the wire, the easier it is to bend. If this has great big fat wires, you'd be just fighting this, hating it, saying words that shouldn't be said. So I'm going to show you how to make poor man's ferrules, because these do need ferrules on with that fine a wire. Now this right here is actually 1/2 inch copper pipe crimped on there. I crimped it on there by just tightening it in to the lug here. But see, look at that. That is on there, bit in really good and tight. It's got all those wires pressed in really tight. That doesn't twist, move, or anything. That is on there solid. So this is where you get your free ferrules from. Now this piece of pipe here is used copper pipe that came out of a remodel job. It's got paint on it because it's sticking outside of a bathroom wall and got painted on. Use a wire wheel, clean off all that junk. Probably not in here. That's going to get it all dirty in here. For this, you're going to want some safety glasses. And just clean that copper up. Got to clean up enough for 4 ferrules. Piece off your wires. They're pre-cut and they have these on there. And you just mark that. Make 3 cuts. Got my tiny little pipe cutter. Just spin that. Tighten this a little bit every few rounds. There you go. Do that a couple more times. You can see on the inside there, because these are used pipes, they've got hard water deposits on the inside. That's why I got this one. Clean up the inside. Look at that shiny new look. So you gotta put a twist on there. You gotta twist those wires to get them to get smaller. And slide your copper on there. This one's a little worse than the other ones because I afroed it out so much. Push these ones in a little bit, push those ones in. There we go. And then you push that into here to make sure this is all the way out. There we go. Just like that. Cinch her on down. You can just feel that just squishing them wires all into there. Pretty sweet. So I was actually only going to put one wire on each of these because I'm not going to use near as much power as all these are going to put in here. But because you have so many wires, it seems like why not just use a bunch of these? I still have 4 wires left over, 2 positive and 2 negatives that come with the batteries. Yeah, I like that. I really like how easy these wires are to move. I mean, that fat of a wire, and you just bend it that easy. That's awesome. Watch this wire. As soon as I pull this cover off, it's just gonna go all fat and afroed. I wonder if I pre-twist maybe. Is I can, no, see that poof. There you go. If you got 1 or 2 stragglers, it's not gonna matter. Somebody didn't loosen that one up. Yeah, I like how easy that copper pipe works. That is so nice. So easy, such a good connection. Didn't cost me anything. Time to put some solar in here. I like these punch outs. They're really easy to take out. Look at it, you just push it with your finger. And then we're gonna put this in here. I wish these snapped in a little bit tighter. We're going to grab our positive. I'm putting these into the MPPT2. And so these are the number 1, this is 2. 2 positive should be this. Put it up in there. Now this is one thing I do not like about this inverter is these are so small. Teeny little screws in these. I feel like getting tight. But it looks like it works. Grab that negative. So you go positive, negative. So this should be negative. And tighten that one up. There's some solar hooked up. So we got to reconfigure our solar panels. We get 2 series together, and then they're all, each 2 is paired and going in to the what was the Outback controller, but now we got to series them all together to get more voltage for what we're doing. So the easiest way to reconfigure these is just unhook everything that's going on now. Just unhook it all and just start over. So I'm gonna unhook all this. Have this be my main positive. I could have this be my main negative and that be my main positive. I'm gonna go on this side because it'll reach that better. On this side, we'll come over to here. We'll hook positive to negative. Okay. Just like that. Then we'll hook this negative over to this positive. And so on and so forth, all the way around. Everything is seriesed together now, and I've got 259 volts. And that's what you want. Between 120 and like 385 volts is what you want. So what's crazy about the 12,000 XP is how much wattage you can put in there. So these are 250 watt panels. So you could actually put 100 of these panels hooked into that inverter. And you could even have a little bit more than that. Isn't that insane? All right, all hooked up. You can see how much better this is. Just 2 wires coming in. You got your positive, your negative coming off all these panels. So much simpler. See my old system here? You had a positive bus bar, a negative bus bar on a piece of plexiglass to insulate it and bolt it onto the frame. And then you plug all your panels into this. As you can see here, your connections get loose, they get corroded, start arcing. This got hot, it's all melted. All right, back into the house. Checking the PV. There you go, 249 volts. So that's good. Always double check, make sure that is off. So that is ready to go. We've got battery, we've got PV. Now we need some AC out. So I'm going to hook this in to get my AC out. This is an RV style 50 amp hookup. And this thing is rated for 12,000 watts. I don't have ferrules for this, and so I've soldered my fine wires together to get good connections. So this inverter is 6,000 watts per leg. This will split my 240 into two 110 outlets. 6,000 watts, 6,000 watts. So I'm wiring this kind of different than most people would because my house isn't really set up quite like it should be. I actually just have an AC plug right here running the house. Right there is running the house. This house was built 40 years ago. Back then there was no electricity out here, just like today there's no electricity out here. But anyways, you had just a 110 plug. You'd plug it into your generator, power your house when the generator was on. So I'm kind of upgrading and doing stuff. So I'll be figuring out a bunch of my AC wiring and changing some stuff over time. But for now, this will get us up and running. Got it all hooked up. Line 1 is black. Line 2 is red. Neutral goes onto the neutral bar here. Your ground goes on your ground bar over here. Now when you're hooking up your neutral, make sure that you don't undo this one. Grounding rod pounded into the ground. That just needs this plugged in. That's ready to plug the house over. But I got to coordinate the house with laundry and everything that's going on to make that switch. What I really want to do is get this solar charging the battery. So we got to put the cover on it, and then we will turn it on. Tonight after the sun goes down, I've got to move this solar power from here over into MPPT1. But for now, we're going to just cover this up and turn it on. Okay, we're going to turn on our battery power. Turn on our inverter. Yeah, I just came live. 350, 400, creeping on up. Oh, I like that. That is a better display screen than the 6,000. I like that power right on it. Let's see if we can get some juice out of here. We're going to turn on the EPS switch on the side. Some magic's going on in there now. That's interesting. It actually kind of shuts off and then back on again. Now it's got solar coming in. Turn on our breaker. There you go. Power. I'm telling you 100% this thing is quieter than that one. You hear that one going right now? This one hasn't made a sound except for some beeps. Way quieter fan. This one is really loud just charging. So, pretty cool. Up and running. Obviously I got to switch some power around and move the solar over. Okay, running great. We've been running it for a few days. I did have one hiccup. I did get a W028 notice on here, and this turned yellow when I first started running it. It's kind of weird. It actually ran for like 12 hours, and then it started having a problem. And it'd run for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, and shut off for 5 minutes, and turn back on for 10 minutes. So when it started doing that, I actually hooked it up as a backup generator to the 6,000 right here. So it was running through the 6,000 and then running the house. So this was just basically working like a giant UPS. So power's come from here straight through this inverter into the house, and then my notice went away and it was running just fine. So the problem was right here, page 22, neutral ground bonding. I went into the settings and enabled the neutral ground bond, and then it's been working perfect ever since. So after you get it all wired in and snugged down, you want to go back through with a torque wrench and torque everything according to the specs in the user manual. If you want a lot more detailed install, I've got a video when I built this whole system that I did a really detailed step-by-step video. Still got some wiring to do on the AC side. Obviously I'm just temporarily hooked in here with this, but I'm thinking I'll probably need to run a cable up into here and put a main breaker into here. That's probably what I'll end up doing. Loving it. This is now my new favorite inverter. There's links for the spec sheet on this in the description, and also product links in the description. I did a separate battery install video, and so there'll be links to that as well. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you all in the next video.